Okay, we're turning microphones on. Microphones are on.
And welcome back to Talk Recovery, Vancouver Co-op Radio, CFRO 100.5 FM. What's up? Welcome, Facebook Live. We are in studio, downtown East Side. Today we got Andrew in with us, sharing his personal story of recovery, addiction, the gamut. So you're an out-of-province guy.
I am.
Where are you originally from?
Regina, Saskatchewan.
Saskatchewan.
Yeah.
Nice. Drugs any different out there?
No, same old as here.
Right on. So what was it that you were addicted to?
So from a very young age, about 14, 15, I started with alcohol. Switched to coke, and then the last few years with meth.
Meth.
Yeah.
So that's that one that really messes people up.
It's pretty popular in the prairies, like heroin and stuff's here. In the prairies, it's meth.
Yeah, it's interesting how you travel around and different demographics and different areas have their specific go-tos. What was that? Just it's a cheaper.
It's cheaper high.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So known as being very, very addictive, extremely damaging to the physical body. What kind of shape did you end up in?
I wasn't homeless. I still had an apartment. I still had a full-time job.
Wow.
That's because my mom pretty much funded everything for me for the last couple of years of my addiction. But by the end of about 120 pounds, eating once a week maybe.
And how did you manage to maintain a job looking that bad?
I have no idea. There was one woman there that I worked with. She knew exactly what I was doing.
Right.
'Cause she has addiction in her family. But yeah, the rest of them.
Whether anybody knows, this guy's he must be using drugs. People must know that this is a sick person.
Yeah.
Right? Like, he doesn't look well.
Yeah.
And just do you think it's that nobody knows how to approach it, or it's like you don't do that to coworkers, you don't have that conversation?
Where I worked, I had actually been to treatment 2 other times with this company I was working with.
Yeah.
So they knew my addiction problem, and I think it was they just didn't know how to come up and approach me. Hey, I think you need help again.
Yeah.
Like I'd worked there for about 4 or 5 years, and I'd been to treatment 2 other times.
Right.
Yeah, I think it was just the fear of them not knowing how to approach me, not knowing how to react.
Yeah.
Because I did have a bit of an anger issue even at work. Right? So if a customer pissed me off, I would get upset at them. And, right?
Wow. So it's not just the fact that they don't know how to deal with it. I mean, they can't really ask you, can they? Because, I mean, oftentimes the addict themselves, they're just going to, like, tell somebody, just, you're lying, you're wrong, don't worry, I'll fix it, or whatever. We often don't have the solutions ourselves as to what we actually need.
Exactly.
So who was it, like, what came to a head that somebody said, this is what you're going to do? Did you reach out?
No, it was more my mom.
Yeah, good old moms.
Good old moms. So yeah, I'd been to treatment 3 other times in Saskatchewan. Every time it's just for the family, for my mom.
Okay.
Saskatchewan's different than here. It's government-funded programs, 30 to 45 days.
Abstinent-based?
Yeah, you can smoke, but there's no step work, no like anything. You go to
no real structure.
No structure, right?
Okay.
So there's a lady that went to the Westminster house from my small town. She got in touch with my mom and told about the last door.
Okay.
So my mom phoned me up one day. I was on my futon doing my normal thing, and she gave me the number for the last door. It was like, phone please. So okay, like I'm a mama's boy, so I phoned the last door and talked to Teddy, who was working there at the time, and we talked for a good half an hour, and he's like, hey, do you want to come tomorrow? I'm like, no, I still got some drugs. I'm in Saskatchewan. That's a lot to do, right?
It's too much, too soon.
It's way too much too soon. So he's like, okay, how about you give me a call? I'll give you a call back in a couple days.
Mm-hmm.
So I ended up giving him a fake number, the wrong number, because I didn't want to talk to him again. So about a week later, my mom phoned me again. You gave a fake number, didn't you? So yeah, I don't want to go to treatment. It's like, I've done this before. I know what it's all about. So my mom's like, phone again. So I phoned Teddy again. And we arranged for me to come a few days later.
Was your mom giving you any sort of consequence or threats to, you know, like what was it inside you that you went, you know, after you're refusing to abide by their you know, what they want you to do? Why call them? Why not just tell your mom, like, no?
By that last week of using, my mom finally kind of, okay, that's it. I'm not helping you anymore.
Yeah.
Like, I was so in debt with cash stores. I was starting not going to work every day. I was sitting in my basement, my apartment, just by myself, 24 hours a day.
Yeah.
Just.
So the fact maybe you didn't want to stop using, or didn't have that really too much, but you knew things were coming to an end again.
I knew for years that things were coming to an end.
Yeah.
From about when I hit 24, like I'm 29 now, and about 24 years old, I realized, man, I don't like using drugs anymore. Mm-hmm. It was more the thrill of finding them, the thrill of the chase.
All the habits wrapped up in addiction.
Like just waiting for the guy to come, just that pace.
Yeah.
Right? I loved that feeling. It was like the best high, not the drugs, the anticipation, waiting, right? And I was just growing up at a very young age, seeing my dad go through alcohol problems, him not being there for me, my family.
Mm-hmm. So like the doctor talking about like the emotional stuff that comes before the substances and whatnot.
Seeing all the effects it can have if I kept going down the path. So like I got moved out, came back home a few times after I left treatment, and every time I started using again, Mom would kick me out, Mom, Dad would kick me out, and I'd find an apartment, go live with my grandparents, whatever, right?
So, I mean, a typical story, you know, multiple attempts, mm-hmm. Cleaning up long enough to sort of get people off the back and the consequences sort of worked out. Mm-hmm. And then because the changes that need to occur for long-term success don't happen, mm-hmm. relapse is, you know, inevitable. So was it the fact that like why move out of province? Was there a desire for you to like get out and away from home, knowing to sort, you know, that might help, you know, stop the cycle of what you were doing?
I didn't think that when I came here.
Mm-hmm.
I heard it was a 90-day program. I was like, okay, 90 days, I'm going back home. But as it was coming, I was like, okay, maybe this is the change I need, right? 'Cause I don't know anybody in BC. I didn't know anything. So 90 days, I was still like, okay, I'm gonna go home. My mom was like, no, you should stay out there. And after I finished primary care, about 4 months, the last door offered me a volunteer position. So I started volunteering at the door, and I ended up staying at the door for 13 months, living there.
Was that the most amount of like abstinence time you've ever had?
I had maybe like 60 days at most. Other than that, since I was like 14, 15 years old. Yeah.
I mean, a lot of people, like most programs are 30, 60, 90 days.
Yeah.
60 days, you're sort of, okay, you're signed off, you're good to go.
Yeah.
What was it for you beyond that 60, 90 days that, you know, was sort of the real solution?
The connections I made, right? So growing up, I played a lot of sports, and I always had that camaraderie of guys all around and being part of a team. And then by grade 11, it was just kind of drugs took over, some injuries took over, and I didn't play sports anymore, and that's really when my drug addiction took off. And very quickly, by about 21, I had no friends, I had nobody. I had my family, but other than that, I had my mom, who was there for me no matter what. I had my grandparents that were there for me, even after I OD'd in the bathroom downstairs. They were still there for me, still loved me. But as for friends, I had nobody. I had myself.
Yeah.
Right? So I got to the door, and right when you walk through that door, they're shaking your hand, they're saying, hi, where are you from? And right at first I was terrified. I'm like, what?
Was it the place? Was it you, or was it a little bit of the both?
At first it was the place. It was amazing, just the counselors there, just how honest and open they were with me, not trying to like sugarcoat anything. The other treatment centers I went to is about the science behind addiction, the brain, right? And
bacon and eggs. This is your brain on drugs.
Not teaching me how to live life outside of treatment, not teaching me about recovery, right? They'd send you to a meeting once a week. That's it.
Well, so let's talk about that, because you know, most people in their minds, sometimes they're told this, as soon as you go into an institution, as soon as you go somewhere and they're dealing with your drug problem, you are a person, you're in recovery.
Yeah.
You know, do you believe that? Like, do you believe it takes a little bit of your own sort of volition and voluntary, you know, participation in your life that it becomes recovery? So what does it mean to you?
Yeah, so like in Saskatchewan, still after I left treatment, I'd go, but I'd be the guy in the back, just go to a meeting a week, just sit in the back and not share, not talk, and leave right away, right? And then I came to my first NA meeting in New West there, and people were coming up to me again, and I was like, hey, welcome. And right away I was like, okay, this feels okay, I can get used to this a bit. And eventually, you know what, sharing hasn't always been my forte. I don't like talking in front of big groups of people. I have kind of an anxiety problem. But realizing that sharing open and honest about what's bothering me to anybody is kind of what's keeping me clean these days, right? Because I'm a pretty shy, quiet guy. And I don't like showing my emotions, don't like showing my feelings. That's how I was raised, right? Raised on a farm by a dad who's didn't really show emotion, and his dad didn't, right? So that's how I was learned. And it even took me some time, even up to like 6 months ago, to even start really showing who I really am to the recovery world.
Right.
It just, like about 6 months ago, back in like July, I almost got used just because I just was feeling disconnected again. I was injured, off of work, wasn't working, so I was again in isolation, all by myself. I wasn't getting to as many meetings as I should, just didn't feel like going. And it almost took me out because I'd lost those connections I'd made in NA, right? So
yeah,
I'd reached out to a few guys, and ever since then, I've been full bore again.
So we see a lot of this in the media now, like this, you know, let's talk. What does reaching out mean to you? I mean, it's kind of hard. Like, scroll through your phone right now. Like, who could you call up and sort of divulge everything you're thinking and feeling, you know, all the embarrassing stuff that you know you might see yourself doing, just maybe not doing as much as you know you can. Like, who and how many people could you actually admit that to?
I have a full phone full of people in it that I could reach out to, but I do have about 3 or 4 that I complete trust everything I say, like my sponsor, and just a couple guys I went through the house with, right?
Because I think it's just like, it's easier said. I mean, you could say like, oh, it's so important for you to reach out. You know, it won't be judged. It's an issue that everybody, you know, you see on the news, and they're starting to talk about it, and it's like, yeah, okay, like, let's work towards that, but who in your life have you chosen to be that person? You know what I mean? And I think that's why connection is so huge, because you don't have those people yet.
No.
I mean, sometimes you suspect family should be, but sometimes, well, I'd say 99% of the time, family are the last people you sort of are going to do that with, right?
Yeah.
And that's no offense, like that. I don't think that's supposed to work that way. Sometimes it's beginning a change in your life with a complete stranger, and that person becomes that for you. Or some people, you know, have to sort of prove themselves that they're people that you can trust and you yourself, you know, to become someone that's really wants to do something different and to make change. Is that the most important component for you?
Yeah, it's right now. Like recently, it's been about helping other people. Even just coming on and doing this show. I've done a couple radio interviews in Saskatchewan, talking about recovery and the overdose crisis. And my mom's really went head on in Regina, Saskatchewan, with recovery. She started an Al-Anon meeting, their first one ever in Regina.
Oh, props to mom. What's her name?
Ronnie.
Ronnie,
yeah.
If you're listening.
She's actually working with Giuseppe on Recovery Capital in Regina. She's doing a lot of work, and I'm super proud of her for all the work she's doing. She tends to get me into things without asking me before.
Booking you on radio shows.
Booking me on radio shows.
Oh yeah, you're speaking at 2 p.m. on... No, never mind.
She already talked to me about that too. Talking about a documentary they're doing in Regina that she's already signed me up for doing. And it's good because I've noticed since I did this December of 2017, I did a radio interview. I'm talking about the door and recovery and my story. And I've noticed an influx of guys coming to treatment from Regina to BC, coming to the door. There's a lot of guys coming recently.
Right.
It makes me feel good that I'm helping.
Well, talking about it at the start of the interview, like how you got out here was just through one person, you know, sharing what happened with their kid to your mom. And it's like,
yeah,
you know, how many people, you know, that sort of got influenced or at least just given the information on somewhere else.
Regina just needed the information. Like, I did a Facebook post a few months ago about the overdose crisis in Regina and how it's not only affecting BC, it's going all over Canada. Because I'd lost about 5 people that I wasn't friends with, but I knew about in Regina over like a month period, and I was like, I've had enough of this. I need to speak out more and try and help Saskatchewan, my home province. Like, I love BC, but Saskatchewan's where I'm born, raised, and I love it, right? And just being able to talk about my issues. Like, I talked to my high school in September. I went and talked to grade 6 to 12. I talked to them about my story and recovery, and that doesn't matter. It doesn't have to be a homeless guy on the street. Addiction affects everybody. Like, I came from a loving family. Yeah, my dad was an alcoholic, but my mom was always there. She was there. I had a bunch of other family that cared and loved me. I played sports. I went to high school. I graduated. It still affected me in the end. It was more for me. I never felt comfortable in my own skin, even being part of a hockey team. Yeah. I was the shortest guy on the team, right?
Having to prove yourself.
Having to prove myself.
Well, and in this role too, you don't prove yourself as someone that like has a story, and it as much as it was bad, that it's become something, you know.
There's another side, right?
There's another side, because you know. I often share, like, I sometimes get anxious before the show, and I'd say all the guests have, you know, said, oh, I'm really, you know, kind of anxious about being on air. Yeah. And it's like, yeah, but, you know, what's the other side of that, you know, that fear, and because you don't come from a public speaking background and, you know, go in front of big, large crowds, but there's a point to it that is more worthwhile than refusing to do it. So, you know, congratulations on your willingness, you know, to just go through it and do it because of how many people that you're going to affect by this.
Yeah, that's why I did this today. I just wanted to help even one person, right? If one person can hear me speak and find recovery, I'm happy.
Right on, man. Well, you're listening to Andrew's personal story, watching on Facebook Live. Thank you very much for coming in.
No problem.
And sharing what's happened in your life. So you've been a few years now in recovery?
October 7th, 2016, so just over 2 years.
Woo! Congratulations. Okay, we got to get out of the studio. So this has been Vancouver Co-op Radio. Stay tuned for World Poetry Cafe. And this is Say Hello, April Wine.
Thanks, Andrew.